I used to work in an office. What kind of work isn't particularly important to the story, so just picture a basic office job. Every January, HR would send an email to all employees with the employee handbook. This included job descriptions, office policies, etc. Every year since the PDF handbook had been established, it would be named with the year following it to establish it was different than the original and all other years. Any changes would have been updated next to the section in the table of contents, so you could see what had changed from the previous year and familiarize yourself with anything new. Now, with that background, we will introduce Karen. Karen had been with the company a pretty long time, about 10 years, I believe. She was fine at her job, just fine. She would get things done, but not without making everyone else miserable in the process. She would ask questions that had already been answered, and basically just waste everyone's time for fun. She was just plain nasty to people, and tried as hard as she could to make everyone stay far away from her. The worst thing about her was she always seemed to be looking for a fight, or looking for a reason to complain. She had threatened lawsuits a few times over any small thing, but would always just get over it and drop it because she knew no laws had been broken, and it would never go anywhere. She'd comment on how she should sue basically every business she ever went to, because she could live off the settlement and retire early. Over the smallest issues you can imagine. She did her job, and we never had a valid reason to fire her, especially knowing how lawsuit-happy she was, so she stayed. Karen's job description, as per the handbook, called for a bachelor's degree. Karen did not have a bachelor's degree, but had been hired prior to that being a requirement, so she was grandfathered in. One day, a position above hers became open. A guy who we will call Terry had recently completed his master's degree after taking night classes for a few years. And since an internal promotion is typically better than an outside hire, he was chosen for the promotion. Terry had been at the company about 4.5 years and was well liked and great at his job. The new job required a master's degree in its job description, and him being a recent grad, it was a perfect fit, and everyone was happy for him. Everyone but Karen. Since she was constantly looking for something to sue about, she took it as a direct insult that she had not been considered for this promotion, that she was not at all qualified for. She immediately cried discrimination and told our bosses her lawyer would be in touch. We were all perplexed, since it was very clear that this promotion required a master's degree, and given that she didn't even have a bachelor's degree, there is no way she could have been hired for the role. What we soon realized was that Karen had saved the original company handbook, named Company Handbook, and had not bothered to open or save any new editions that were sent in the following 8 years. She just assumed no changes had been made, and that it was just sent every year to ensure all employees had it. If she has bothered to open the file, she would have seen the sections that say updated in the table of contents. Since Karen cried lawsuit a lot, no one expected much of this, since it was a ridiculous claim. But sure enough, Karen gives her resignation letter via email, and it is scathing about how she can't bear to work in such a discriminatory environment that would only promote men. When any higher-ups try to speak to her about this and clear up the confusion, she basically tells them to fuck off and to read the damn email. I don't owe any more of an explanation. She basically goes full Karen. Not long after, a letter comes in from her lawyer asking for a settlement to avoid a discrimination case. What Karen hadn't realized was that our boss's sister-in-law owned a law firm. She didn't really take on clients herself anymore, and mostly just managed the other lawyers of her firm. She was basically semi-retired. What this meant was she had plenty of time to review any letters from Karen's lawyer and advise us. Since Karen didn't bother to read any of the updated handbooks, she was unaware that this position had required a master's degree for many years now. I believe about 6. She supplied her lawyer with the original company handbook from 9 years ago, and he used that as a reference in his settlement demand. This was when we realized she hadn't read any new handbooks in years. Since Karen rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, Boss's sister-in-law decided to personally take on the case. Karen's lawyer sent. She sent back one 3 times in length. Some of it wouldn't even really say anything, just wordiness, but it would certainly take Karen's lawyer a while to read it. And he did not come cheap. After several of these letters, they realize no settlement is going to happen. They want to take it to court. It's a pretty cut-and-dry case. Boss's sister-in-law shows evidence that Karen has received all updates via email. After the change was made and the handbook sent out, HR even sent an email to Karen specifically letting her know that she was grandfathered in and doesn't need to worry, to which Karen replied, "Okay, thank you," confirming receipt of it. The best part was when Boss's sister-in-law said that they couldn't break company rules to give Karen a job she was totally unqualified for while neglecting another employee who went above and beyond to get his master's degree to advance, as that would be unfair to all other employees. Karen now had a huge, seriously huge bill from her lawyer for all of these letters and filing the case, etc. No job, no one she could list as a positive recommendation, and no degree. In the time she had been at the company, it had become industry standard to require a bachelor's degree, so she was effectively shut out of her career. It would also be hard to explain how you worked somewhere for a decade and don't have a letter of recommendation from anyone there. If she had only read her damn emails. TLDR, Karen ignores job description updates for years, attempts a lawsuit, bankrupts herself in lawyer fees, and effectively makes herself obsolete in her career. I don't know about you, but if I worked with a lady like that, I'd be banging my head against a brick wall. How would you get on? Leave a comment below. Last night, as it was Father's Day in Australia, my sister and I celebrated with our mum, who raised us single-handedly with no help from our dad, though his family helped. So Mum deserves Father's Day as well as Mother's Day. Mum wanted Chinese for dinner, so we placed the order and I went to get it for her. They were extremely busy and hectic, with people trying to pay left, right, and center, and with impatience. One in particular was there with her husband. They had ordered what seemed like a feast, so naturally the shorter orders were coming out first. My sister and Mum eats Chinese. I only eat very occasionally. So they had ordered satay chicken and fried rice. Not a large order at all. The woman standing there actually shouted out in frustration, as my order was called up first. She stamped her foot, I'm actually not kidding here, and said, "I was here first." The poor girl at the register apologized and promised she'd check on the order, and then took a payment before she went back. The Karen was told by the owner of the restaurant that her order would be ready in 10 minutes, to which the Karen replied, "It's been half an hour, and you're serving other people before me." I really would have been home at that point, but this was just too entertaining. The owner apologized again, and the Karen shouted, "I don't want your apology. I want my food." The owner went to check on the food, and the Karen said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "It's not that hard to cook up a meal in a timely manner." A bystander, a young man who was among those of us waiting patiently because, hey, it was busy, told her, "What stopped you from cooking then?" Of course, him being a young guy, the Karen went off at him for being sexist, and that women didn't belong in the kitchen. By then, her food came out. I'm talking 5 bags of food. No wonder it took a while. She then said, "I won't be coming here again. Disgusting service." The register girl, the first victim of the Karen, had her shining moment. That is the end of the video. I hope you liked it. Subscribe for more content like this, and hit the like button to help us out.